Unseen, unknown, mysterious. Beautiful in existence, city in the sea. The richest heart of our planet. It was paradise. Good evening. What we want to show tonight is basically a year in photography. And we will take you on a journey, mostly underseas, from the boiling hot tropics, the volcano-laced tropics, to the cold water, to the ice, to the Arctic.
And I think I may share a little bit about us. We work as a team. We're together 24/7, which is...
We are married, you know.
Yes, we are married, but it's a good partnership.
Jennifer has always said that I have this teenage crush about Papua New Guinea. But 18 years ago, it's now 18 years ago, I was in a place called Kimby Bay. I was there for the total of 6 days, and in those 6 days, I made some very serious, wonderful pictures. And I had to go back. I had to go back. But the years passed, and suddenly...
The phone rang, and it was...
It was the office. And they said to me, you have been selected to participate, to contribute in the 125th anniversary issue, the photography issue of the National Geographic magazine. They said, you can go anywhere you want, shoot anything you want. And I said to myself, Kimby Bay, ding. And so we had an assignment. But here's a problem that all of you share right now. And that problem is, where the hell is Kimby Bay? Well, Kimby Bay is in the Coral Triangle. And the Coral Triangle is where, on this planet, the most biodiverse, most numbers of fish, coral, and of course invertebrates live. This was a perfect assignment. What could possibly go wrong? The whole story's had a cloud over it. Boiling, dark cloud. The monsoon is still going on, the wettest March and April since 1970. The batteries are smoldering and stinking and burning. Your camera's on fire. It nearly burnt the place down. Strobes flood. A GoPro floods. Gone. We lose another light. The electronics are scrambled. Torrential rains. And kaboom! Another $3,000. Charger blows up. Like this place has it in for us. Mosquitoes are buzzing around our heads. You don't have to worry about the bends. You have malaria. And as of 2 days ago, a cyclone. New Guinea has eaten us up and spit us out. And this story was supposed to be a gift, an easy, beautiful story. Funny. All these years, all these stories, every place we've gone to, we were sort of reluctant to leave. But it's over now. So say goodnight, Buffalo Bob. Good night, Buffalo Bob. Well, the one sunny day. This is what this place looked like. It's an absolute paradise. Deep water with these wonderful seamounts rising from thousands of feet to almost to the surface and surrounded by volcanoes. And here's this mysterious lake called Daktoa, the Forbidden Lake. No foreigners, nobody but tribesmen can go to this lake because it's full of spirits and crocodiles. the offshore reefs, like this incredible place called Kimbibami, and they were far offshore, 2.5-hour boat rides every day, 125 feet down at the top of the reef. They were like absolute gardens, these deep underwater volcanoes. Bradford is the most spectacular dive here. There's a seamount called Bradford Shoals. It rises up from the deep. It is rounded, steep-shouldered, and has an immense school of chevron barracuda, which swim around in great circles, almost making funnel-shaped clouds. Round they go, spooling upwards. When fish move in a circular pattern, they create the rarest thing in the sea, which is a geometric pattern, a place that has no corners and no edges, geometry in a place of weightless chaos. And then the barracudas would form these immense circular tornado-shaped towers, going from basically the bottom of the reef all the way to the surface, sometimes 70, 80 feet high. Look at this. And here's Jennifer on the side of one of these towers.
The first time we landed on this seamount called Joel's, it was raining fish. They were isolated, they were unfound, they were untouched, and they were de facto marine protected areas. They just had no sense of humans. And one of the scariest things, and in-your-face conservation I have ever seen, was a group of fishermen in a single, what they call banana boat, and they had found Joel's Reef, and they had anchored on it, and they had been on it all night fishing. And the minute they saw our boat coming, they cut their line, and they sped off. And it turns out when we went down, all we found were hooks and fishing line, and half or more of the fish were gone. All of the Pinjalo snappers, every Pinjalo snapper was gone. This is one night on one small piece of real estate in the ocean that was wiped out. And the next day when we were in the Kimby Bay market, there were the Pinjalos. And it shows you how fragile, first off, it shows us how marine protected areas work and function, and then it shows us how vulnerable these places are.
There's small things on this reef. I have to tell you, anemones and clownfish, it's one of the most beautiful friendships in the sea. The anemones protect the clownfish's eggs, protect the clownfish at night with its stinging tentacles. The clownfish protects the anemones from being nibbled to death by butterfly fish. But Joel's has this wonderful collection of anemones, and toward the evening they ball up like this, and the clownfish begin to burrow in their stomachs. I also managed to photograph spawning. Here, the big female clownfish, and the female is the dominant partner in this relationship. If the female dies, the largest male turns into a female and begins to produce eggs. They're producing eggs right now, and that purple curtain in the background is the side of the anemone. We dove with sharks.
We were amazed and shocked and pleased to see sharks in Kimby Bay. They would meet you when you rolled off the boat, and you're like, this is the way it is supposed to be. So it was just another indicator, another symbol that these reefs had survived where other reefs throughout the Coral Triangle had not done as well.
We dove on a place called Father's Reef, and we met a hawksbill turtle, and she met us on every dive. We could swim with her as she made her rounds past schools of barracudas and schools of batfish. I love this picture because it looks like the turtle is flying. And then she'd do this amazing thing. Instead of going to the surface and going back down to another piece of bottom, she would come and she would rest on our tanks. And she would do this. She'd take her flippers and put her flippers around the tank and rest there.
It was wonderful. She really was magic. She met us on every dive, and she would follow you. And when she was tired, she would rest on you. And it was a magic moment. But it was also a terrifying moment in terms of that makes this particular animal very vulnerable. The local fishermen there, they fish the reefs that they can find, and they harvest anything they can find on the reefs, from reef fish to turtles. And we would be diving. A local banana boat comes up, and with a group of people, the young man swims down the turtle. How much, how much, how much? You buy, you buy, you buy. Would you like to buy? Your gut inclination is for a handful of dollars is to buy that turtle, take it to the next coral seamount, and let it go. But you can't do that because you're setting up a trade, an economy. They'll go catch another turtle and they'll come back to you again. Or they'll go catch the same turtle and bring it back to you.
We were in a tiny empire, a perfect tiny coral empire, and we needed to have an image of coral, a panorama, a shot that said, this is this coral world, built of tiny polyps, beautiful in existence, city in the sea. This picture isn't the one we wanted. And we kept looking and we kept searching. A place called Anne Sophie. It's a group of islands at the tip of the Williamez Peninsula. And there's one little island, a little islet. It's not even an island. It's an island with a bunch of trees on it and sort of a lone palm tree. That it has in one corner of it a field in very, very shallow water. And in less than a foot, there is a field, beautiful purple lace coral, intermingled with a cropper of coral and staghorn coral. That's absolutely beautiful. And we worked there and photographed a picture half in, half out of the water. One of the things I particularly like to do. And as we were working, father and son came up in a dugout. They were fishing there. We gave them lunch later on.
You like the chicken. See Anton and his papa again. One more time on a very...
Just catch a big fish right here. Oh, big fish. Papa.
Can you see it with your head going?
Yeah, I can see it.
Thank you, Anton.
Thank you. Hey, there you go. There's Anton. That's cool, eh? It was one of those lovely days where everything worked out. We made another dive and went home. Boiling clouds, complicated skies of Olindi, and this tiny little islet. It's the kind of pictures I really like to make. Here's the picture.
We recently published a story in the National Geographic magazine on the Gulf of St. Lawrence. It was a very challenging story, but very near and dear to our hearts. We live on the St. Lawrence River in a region called the Thousand Islands, and this is our neighborhood.
Yeah, this is not our house, incidentally.
People ask us all the time. We live in an area that we're surrounded by 1,800 islands, storybook castles, and an amazing creature called the sturgeon. There are 27 species of sturgeon in the world. They're all in the northern hemisphere. All 27 of them are falling flat on their face because they are long-lived. They live to be over 100, sometimes 200. Get this, they don't spawn until they're about 25 years old. And then, not even every year after that. It's every 5 years, so 25, 30, 35. And you can see all of a sudden, when you put the pressure of fisheries on a species like this, how these stocks are collapsing. And these sturgeon are very shy. They like deep water. They're very rare to see underwater most of the year, except for 1 week. In the month of June, thousands of them gather, and they meet on these spawning beds, this particular type of rock, in very fast water. This water is like washing machine water. It's about a 4-knot current. Right now, I am behind a big giant rock trying to stay out of the current. And these girls, these are all girls waiting to spawn, just ignoring me because they're all bumped up on hormones. Any other time of the year, I couldn't get near them. And the sturgeon are a unique fish. They are so ugly, I think they're beautiful. I'd marry a sturgeon if I could marry a sturgeon.
I married a
Look
sturgeon.
at their mouth. Look at these barbels. You did marry a sturgeon.
I married a
Oh my
sturgeon.
God, you did. These barbels, see these 4 things? Those are called barbels, and they have all these chemosensory ability, and they go along the bottom, and they brush past something, and they say, I can eat that, and whoop, down comes this mouth. Have you ever seen a mouth like that?
Past Quebec, the river becomes an estuary. And a little past there, the Saguenay River joins the St. Lawrence, and there's a population of beluga whales. Beluga whales are the white whales, the canary whales. They sing and they burble and they make a lot of noise. And this guy came right up to me and kind of blew me a kiss when a little bubble came out. And then the whale did this marvelous thing. He tried to eat the camera.
There used to be 10,000 beluga whales in the St. Lawrence. It can support up to 10,000. And then they were fished because all the they were killed because all the fishermen thought that they were competing for fish. So they were slaughtered. And then it got down to a handful of thousand. And just weeks ago, a report came out and said, no, we are down to 800. And what is happening is there's high infant mortality. The problem is they don't know what is causing the infant mortality. So the Department of Fisheries and the Canadian scientists are now in scramble and panic mode to figure out how to preserve these 800 belugas. They are precious, and they are almost a symbol of the St. Lawrence.
And don't forget, we are in French Canada, and I photographed crabs mating. And in French Canada, it is not just mating, but is l'amour, love. They do this for weeks and weeks at a time, you know. And après le sexe, after the sex comes le cigarette, you know.
Give me that. Oh my God. The Gulf of St. Lawrence freezes in the wintertime, and it becomes the world of the harp seal. They are nursed by their mothers for about 12 days. Then they're abandoned. They're left on the ice to figure out how to become a harp seal, how to feed, how to swim, how to do anything and everything. In 2011, when this picture was made, it took us 3 days by boat to get to the ice. It kept moving. There was so little ice in the Gulf. And we located a patch and a field of ice, and it had 10,000 seals. And this is what 10,000 seals begins to look like. And we can give you an idea of what it's like in the world of the harp seal. That's its umbilical there. A newborn. 3 days old, with the mother in the back. a very nervous mother. Still a very nervous mother. To me, they're one of the most beautiful creatures on the planet. For the first 12 days of their life, when they're called the white coats, they look almost like a stuffed toy. And once in a while, you'll see a blind one. And it's very sad because they'll come up to you thinking you're their mother. They're desperate without that particular sensory. And after 12 to 15 days, they begin to molt, and they begin to shed their white coat and become what's called a beater. And at this point, they are also eligible to enter the hunt. The Canadian seal hunt still goes on. There's a lower quota, and they cannot take the white coats, but they can take the beaters. And David has found a beater. And I find a pup peering through the ice, looking for his mom. He sees me, he's like, no. Mom is behind me, going a little crazy now, because I'm between her and her pup. And she rushes past me, and she greets her pup, and she coaxes him into the water. They meet with this underwater nose to nose. I call it a kiss of recognition. It's like, are you my mom? Are you my pup? Or are you an imposter? And while we're swimming, the pup is very curious. What are you? Who are you? What's going on? Who are you? And he would try to swim towards me. He'd get a little close, and the mother would come up and literally hold him down. No. And eventually, she allowed him to get a little closer. And he gets so close that he scrabbles. He begins to climb up on my, here, you come be the seal. Come be the seal. Okay, you're there. So he begins to do this.
I'm the seal.
And then he climbs up onto me. I'm the raft, I'm the ice, and now he's on my chest. He's tired. He's on my chest. And he's nosing my mask like he did his mom. I'm the imposter. I am the imposter. We swim along and we move into this very open water, and now we're resting. We're all stopped. And then something nips my left ankle. Then something nips my right ankle. And I look down, and there's 30 or 40 male harp seals circling below me. A male comes up over my back, pushes me down. His penis gets caught in my mask, taking it off with him. The mask drops. We're in 3,000 feet of water. I see it, I grab it. I got my camera here, and the male is going down below me, and the female sweeps past, and she goes down, and the mother is beating the crap out of this male. The mother surfaces. She surfaces, and she's grunting and snorting, and she comes back, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure what's going to happen now, but she comes back, and she uses her head and her flipper and her entire body, and she kind of scoops up her pup. She's kind of using everything she's got, and she kind of gets him in front of her. And then she uses her flipper, her nose, her body, and she scoops me up. Now,
Super mom.
the pup and I were being propelled, herded through the water out of this open area where we had all the males beneath us. I ducked underneath, and I watched the mother and the pup disappear. I'm pumped up on adrenaline. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. I go to the edge of the ice, and I throw my camera up, and I'm taking off my weight belt. And just as I'm taking off my weight belt, right at the edge of the ice, a male harp seal comes under the edge of the ice, and he bites me square in the groin. And he lets go. And then he bites me square in the thigh, wonk, and he lets go. And I have a very, very memorable scar from all of that. But it's not the scar, and it's not the male that I would ever or want to or will dwell on. It is the female and her reaction. And I will say the world of the harp seal has been a changing world. David and I were on our way back to shore. A storm came up, and the ice was so bad, so weak, that when the storm came through, it wrecked the sea ice, and 10,000 pups perished. Every one of them died. They had 100% mortality of the Gulf seals in that particular year. This past year, in 2014, was a big ice year. That's a relief. We had a relief year because we had had 3 to 4 almost full-on 100% mortality years. So it is a shifting world for our climate there. And what I want to close on is David and I go back every year now. We have become addicted to the ice. We feel
extraordinary place.
We go back every year, and what we're trying to do is create a shifting paradigm away from hunting into a model of ecotourism. Now we can take some people up, and we take a week out of the harp seal hunting boat. We buy a week, we buy another week, we buy another week. And hopefully we'll show them a different economy, an ecotourism-based economy where we can take the pressure off the hunting. And with that, I would like to thank you all for coming.
You've been an incredible audience.